We are speed and professionals in aeromatics. Welcome back to the ID Race channel, everybody. Really appreciate you guys tuning into this video. I'm super excited. Yet again, another unboxing video slash install. And as you can see, I have a box from Afco, which can only mean one thing. We're doing shocks. So hopefully this is gonna be a shocking video, right? Enough of the jokes. What made me come to the decision to go with the Afco shocks versus a lot of the other big names out there, your QA1s, Mensers, Strange. There's a lot of different shock manufacturers out there. A lot of guys have success with them. Again, this car that we're building, the stick shift RX7, we're going off of a lot of already R&D that people have done with Mustang rear ends and getting good separation and being able to hook off the line with radials and also stick shift cars. So going through, talking to some of my buddies, the individual reached out to Jad Carlson, owner of Everything Automotive. Guy builds just amazing, fast stuff. He's got some of the fastest cars out there from our local area and tracks. He's been really successful. Reached out to him and I was like, Jad, honestly, man, looking for a dealer for an Afco or a good shock. What do you recommend? He's like, I got you taken care of. So he reached out to his contact, distributor for Afco, and they set me up with some 3870 Big Gun X shocks. So with that, we're going to unbox these, go through, and show you guys what we got. All right, so doing this one-handed so that you guys can kind of go through it as I go through it. And, you know, with shocks, it's a huge, important part to drag racing. Honestly, in the RX7 convertible, I had a set of D2 drag racing coilovers, which weren't bad. But I got to get this to the next level. The only way to do that is to really put together a good shock package that's going to work well for radial tire and be able to be consistent. And we'd like to get the car to 60 foots. Now, out of the box, from my understanding, the Afcos are pretty much, and these, I shouldn't say out of the box, I had these valves set up to be a little bit stiffer on the Big Gun X's for radial tire. And then the spring rate we're just kind of guessing on. So we got some springs as well, it looks like, in here. But beyond that, it's going to be kind of a guessing game. And the nice thing is, from what I'm told, is these Afcos are like the exact same as the Mensers. And if I really, really have to dial these things in, these can actually get sent off to Menser and they will revalve these shocks. Right now, the current valving that comes with these from Afco on the, you can see here, 3870 BGX, that's a Big Gun X. With these shocks, the current valving, just, setting up a little bit stiffer, should do us fairly well. And again, yes, they can be sent out to be revalved for like $600. But for, 1,000 to 1,500 horsepower, which, I really don't foresee us going over that. At this point in time, starting out with radial, I think that we should be good to at least get used to the car, get used to a radial tire, and really kind of get our feet wet. So this should at least be a good starting point. Oh, always great to drop you brand new anodized blue parts. So thankfully that wasn't the shock. All right, so we got this guy here. All right, so then just a quick look at the shock. So obviously we have our swivel ball mounts at the bottom and on the top. These are the twin tube BGX shocks. So on these ones we have a 14-inch end-to-end length. So that's like the smallest that these can be is 14 inches. And then they will extend up to 20. I think it's like 19.75 or something like that. So definitely lots of separation room. Obviously we have our adjustment down here at the bottom to go, super soft, and then you can just keep, twisting up on the mount here. Oop, sorry. So you can just keep twisting this guy. So click, click, click. So we have all of our clicks going. So that's awesome. But yeah, so all of our adjustments done right into this guy. So with that, we also have our springs. So on the springs, like I said, it's kind of a guessing game as to what spring rate that we're going to need. We're just kind of going off the weight of what the car should be in the rear. I believe I put on there that we're going to be about 1,200 pounds in the rear is what my best guess was off of what the convertible weight is. And then obviously with this car, we're going to be changing that around a little bit. But starting off at about 1,200 pounds in the back, that's what we're going with. And these are 100-pound springs. So they come in this neat little bag here. I guess let's check out to see what's inside the bag. A little blue bag. So let's go off here. Oh, look at that. Some nice chromies. So we got a nice little chrome shock, or spring. Sorry, not shock, but we got a nice chrome spring. Oh, yeah. There you go. That is pretty. So, sorry for all the movement on the camera itself, but don't want to scratch that guy. We'll put it back on the bag. But yeah, so we have the 100-pound spring. We'll kind of put these together. Obviously, we have our clips that we have to be able to put in position for springs themselves. Go through kind of the directions. We'll read through those before we really get into here. Looks like they're just kind of taped to the shock itself. But yeah, so we have all of our collars and shock spring mounts, everything on there should be good. And then our collar for the bottom to be able to have our adjustments off there. So yeah, let's put these guys together and kind of see what they feel like on the car. All right, well, I did have to at least put one together, and just going through the instructions, obviously, so the bottom, and I'm just going off of what we have in the directions themselves, just so I know what the adjustments mean. So on the clicks that we have here, so this click on the bottom, this is your compression, and then the clicks you have on the top. So this guy also has an adjuster on the top of the shock, or the bottom, however that you mount that. That's going to be the rebound. Going off of what this says is generally you'll set your compression for the shock itself, and then really all that you're playing with is the rebound. So we're going to mount these, or try to mount these in the RX7, having these at the top, and then this is the bottom. So that's how we're going to put those in the car. Kind of put one together just to go through that. They're actually very easy to assemble. So we're just going to do one real quick. Takes just a couple minutes, and be able to put that on. So let's just go through this real quick. Gives us the instructions, obviously a couple stickers, same thing that we had on there. So pretty sweet for how these are set up. And then we just basically put on the bottom of the coil stop. So we'll spin this guy on. We'll speed it up for you. That should be good. Don't want it all the way bottomed out, just basically at where it is, and I'll just give it a little half turn back. And we'll grab a coil spring. These bags are really snazzy, I will say. Very nice bag. And these don't have any like taper on top or bottom, so it's the same on both sides, so no worries there. We'll slide this guy around. And on here, I'm just gonna pull the actual shock out past the spring. So we'll get that guy out. Give it a little bit of length there. And then our top mount bracket for the spring has this little retainer clip in here. You just pop the retainer clip off, pop the retainer clip onto here. So that just goes right on our first little latch there, or stop I should say, and then this slides right in. And then I'm just going to line up this clip with the opening, press down a little bit to get her bottomed out, and then release the clip. Just this little, I call them Jesus clips, because sometimes when they pop out it's like, Jesus, where'd it go? Yeah, so that is all the way in there. And now that is seated in, and that's not going anywhere. Make sure that's good. Yeah, everything seems like it's nice, locked into place. Like that. Awesome. So, push that down. Now we have an assembled shock for the rear. And again, so I'm just going to put these up in the car like this on the bottom where it's going to mount to the axle, and we'll see where that goes. But those look really nice. I'm super happy with how easy that these go. So again, we have our compression on the top, which this is going to be the top of the shock, and then we have our rebound on the bottom. And it gives a nice little instruction manual of, okay, so dragsters 840 or slower, and then dragsters 840 or faster. So because we've never even went an 8-second pass yet, we're going to start at 840 or slower for the adjustment and be able to kind of get our 60 foots, things like that. So we're going to set these up. It's kind of like a beginner stage, and then we'll go for the 840 or faster once we actually get there. Just to make it easy on ourselves, we'll start off with the beginner settings, and then we'll continue to progress as time goes. And then also it gives us an idea of, learning the shock and how they react under certain circumstances, RPM, rev launch, things like that, as well as just with the stick shift, because we want the shock to obviously separate the car. And right now, I'm wondering how far we are right now with this, and this is going to compress with the weight of the car, but where we're sitting right now from end to end, I mean, that's about 19 and a half. I'm just curious. So for full length, it's about 21. So once these actually compress with the weight of the car on there, definitely should see, I don't know, probably 14 and a half, 15 inches of total shock length, and then it'll give us about 5 inches of travel overall, which should be enough. I mean, with the Mustang rear end, the geometry that it has, having the upper control arm only being 7.5 inches, 8 inches long on that upper control arm, we're really not going to have a ton of separation. But also, we're not going to hopefully have to hit the tire, strike tire so hard where it just separates the car instantly. Hopefully these will slow it down enough where it's a nice gradual separation, and it will work well for us. So super happy to see how these things work, and let's get them in the car. All right, as you guys know, I've been putting in a lot of work to this rear end to work on not only the bottom floor area, as well as just making it so that I can triangulate the entire rear end. I mean, look at how much work that has gone into these upper torque boxes. Obviously, I still have to make the mounts that go down to the front subframe mounts on both sides. I do have those, and then I also have a bar that triangulates to the actual factory subframe as well, and then our rear shock mount. Now, tonight, or today, whatever, we're going to be replacing these, and then we're going to see what our actual travel looks like for when we take and put in our new Afco shocks, and then what our wheel looks like when we separate this rear end, and also at ride height to see where we're starting. So let's get to it, take those out, and get in some new shocks. Oh my God. I'm just hanging these shocks off here right now, and just that alone just gives me an idea. I mean, granted, we got to compress these a little bit. First, I got to separate the rear end and then drop it down a little bit. I am only spot welded in for my tabs, just kind of know where everything's locating, but just dropping these on there, just hanging them, like, oh, just completes the look. This geometry is insane to me. So these are all in for both top and bottom. I don't have any compression on the springs right now, so these are all loose, so the springs themselves will turn. There's no resistance to either side, but I will say, on obviously no resistance on this side either, these angles that the upper torque boxes are at should never be that aggressive. So those will definitely be at a lower position for these shocks and the way that they're mounted. You can see how much it's kicking the front end as well, because those are extended out so far, or up so far. It's pulling the rear end forward. So what happens is we get really close to the actual, I mean, we can spin her, but she rubbing, and this is a 26-inch tall tire, and we're going to be going with 28-inch tall tires, so definitely need to correct that. But you can see for how much that separates and how it basically pushes that tire down. Now, granted, once we move that upper torque box and the lower, it's going to move that tire further back in a way, but wow, this thing just separates unreal back here. Like, that is insane for what it does. I mean, this angle's pretty freaking cool, I will say, for what it does to this. So let's just let her down a little bit and see what that looks like. So I will loosen this. We'll just let her down, get some weight on the rear. See what happens here. Here we go. Just coming down. Coming down, coming down. And, oh, actually I'm on jack stands. So we'll get these jack stands out of the way completely. Whoa, that was loud. We'll get these ones out of the way. And then we're just gonna set her down on these jack stands, the ones that are just holding only the 8.8, just whatever's holding the axle. So let's get some more weight on it. Keep her coming down. Our springs are definitely compressing. Just getting some weight on them. You can see now the upper torque boxes are definitely going more towards a parallel. And we are off. All right. So I'm just gonna leave this just barely touching. I'll just give a little bit, just to make sure we got something there in case something lets loose. Again, these are just tacked into place, but all right, let's take a peek. Wow. Definitely needs some more weight in the rear. Now, we will have additional weight. This is very, very bare minimal for what's back here right now. But yeah, pretty happy with how this is looking. We get a little bit more weight in the back. Obviously we have our spool, our ring and pinion, drive shaft, things that actually are going to be hanging off this rear diff, our roll cage. There's definitely going to be some more weight added to this back end. False bottoms for where the carpet's going to go, all that. So we definitely have plenty of more weight to add to this to be able to level this out even more. But just for the look back there, I'm happy with that. Turned out great. So, yeah. We are moving in the right direction. So I just want to give a point of reference as to how the rear end articulates just by weight. Obviously, I need to add a whole lot more in order for it to actually sit at ride height. But I'm just going to lean on the corner of the car and just kind of show you guys as to what it looks like. Like, that's like an inch and a half of travel just pushing on it with my body weight, which insane. And I have probably 3 inches of travel currently right now of non-compressed spring here. So literally we're gonna be about 3 inches lower once it's at full weight for the car. And then we can start playing with the torque boxes and really get this thing in the lower control arms to get it at what it needs to be for the correct instant center. But I am impressed for what these shocks can do. That is amazing. Always enjoy taking you guys into another look at what we're doing here at ID Racing. Hopefully you guys like, subscribe, share with your friends, comment in the video. Anything else that I might have done wrong, obviously I'm not perfect, but we're getting closer. And yeah, we'll keep chugging along. We'll see you guys in the next one. Check you later.